with the center position, obviously you've added some undrafted rookies, but Michael Dieter doesn't really have a veteran competition in terms of guys who have experience snapping. Is the plan to train players to snap?
Yeah, that's one of the plans for sure. I mean, we want to have all the guys play as many positions as they can, within reason. I mean, we know Tehran's going to play left tackle. Okay, so there are certainly guys playing multiple positions right now, and they could add to the mix at that position. Yes.
Matt, I'm so sorry. I know obviously Connor has spent time at center the past 3 weeks. He obviously played center in preseason for Dallas. If he emerges as your best option at center, do you have a conviction yet about whether he would be a good NFL center? We know he's a good NFL guard. Is that a viable option in your mind?
I think that that's something that we're in the works of trying to figure out if that's the answer or not. You know what I mean? So we're seeing him at a couple different positions and seeing what he's capable of doing. And I know that that's not a very definite answer, but we're not at that stage yet, so I can't give you that answer. But I know that he's a talented guy. He's smart. He's athletic. He's strong. He has a lot of 1-2. He's really giving us everything we're asking of him. For as much as he's played, he's still a young player. So I think he's a guy that has a lot of position flex. What his best position will be at the end of the day, we're still figuring that out.
With Michael Dieter, what do you hope to see from him to sort of have him cement himself into that spot?
I mean, it's just a competition every day. It's not like there's this one thing that if Michael Dieter does this one thing, then we got everything we want. I think Michael Dieter's given us everything we're asking right now. He's smart, he's articulate, he's shown athleticism, he has improved over the course of phase 2. I really like working with him. I don't think there's just this one thing that it's like, okay, if he does that, then he's cemented there. It's competition every day. And I think that that's how you have the best room. Right, is that everyone's pushing each other. So I'm optimistic about Michael Dieter right now.
So do you feel like this is a situation where you're just going to start the best 5 and figure out how they mesh?
I would say that there's some validity to that, yes.
Skills with Austin Jackson, Matt, that make you think he could be an effective NFL right tackle. We haven't seen him at that spot in a regular season NFL game.
Yeah, I think AJ is a really talented young guy. He's been awesome so far to work with. I think he's got position flex as well. I think he's actually put some good stuff on tape up to this point, but we all know the nature of this position. When some things don't go well, then all that stuff kind of falls off to the side. I think he's an ascending player, and I think he's got the traits to be a productive tackle in the NFL, whether that be left tackle or right tackle.
With center having the responsibilities that it does, at what point in training camp would you start to get nervous if you don't know who your center is?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I don't know the exact answer to that, but I can see why you'd ask that question. Right now, everyone's working hard at doing the base fundamentals and techniques that we're asking of them at multiple positions. So we're nowhere near there right now. And I don't have the definite answer for that question. Hopefully we don't encounter that problem.
If we were at the midpoint of training camp and you didn't know, would that make you sleepless?
I don't really envision that happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt, considering what this line, struggled with last year, obviously a lot of noise outside the building that it needed full-scale change. But I'm curious, because I never got to ask you, what were you and your fellow coaches' first reaction when you were able to look at the tape of the offensive line you were inheriting?
I was encouraged. I mean, I see negative plays like everyone else does, but I see a lot of positive plays too, and I like to focus on the positive. And then when you just focus in on one guy or another guy and you ignore what's happening with the play or where in the game that play is occurring, and you're just studying what that guy is doing, you see a lot of skill sets. And then when you get to know these guys on a more intimate basis, you're like, wow, these are really good dudes. They're hardworking on top of their talent, and they want to be good. And I'm really encouraged up to this point.
Is there ever where's the balance between coming to a conclusion from what you see on film versus saying, okay, I'm inheriting a new player, let me see what I can do with him, let me see what I can get out of him?
I think that's a great question, and I think like most things in life, there's a gray area to that. There's not a black and white answer to that. When you watch the tape and you see what you see, for good and for bad, I don't think anyone can completely ignore that and say, oh, it's a completely blank slate. But at the same time, you're asking them maybe to do different things fundamentally, technique-wise. Maybe it's a different vibe overall, and maybe that can bring something different out of them. So I think it's a balancing act. I don't have an exact answer for that. I like to lean more on the positive. I just think that that's a healthier way to be overall in life. And then also, I just think as a coach, it's our responsibility to try to bring the most out of these guys. So I try to lean towards the positive about it, and I've seen some very encouraging things so far.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.